Call the police. And I don't have to worry about them because this bike's totally legal. So if I speed, there we go, it shifts up. Is it going to do it again? Oh, and again, and again. And still, I haven't used any power. This is an interesting feeling. Hello, welcome to the e-VRC. And here we have a really curious e-bike, the Engwe P275 Pro. There are two versions of this bike. There's the ST, which is a drop frame, so it doesn't have that bar, but that's not the only difference. That one has gears and a normal chain, whereas this one has the very special Gates carbon belt drive, which means not only is it really, really silent and smooth, it's also not oily, and it requires very little maintenance. So it's very nice. Because it's got that, it can't have gears, because belt drives don't usually have gears. If you look down here, that is not a hub drive motor, that is a gear shifter. That's an automatic gear shifter. It's got 3 speeds, and it detects how fast the wheel is going with the little sensor down here. It's got one attached to the wheel, and as that spins round, the bike knows how fast it's going. When it's going slow, it's in a low gear. As you speed up, it shifts up, and as you speed up more, it shifts up again. It pulls off all right, I've got to say. Without throttle, you'd be worried that, you know, you struggle to pull away. That can happen with some belt drives, because belt drive bikes don't have gears generally, so you're kind of stuck in a set gear, which sometimes isn't the best gear for pulling off. But because this shifts down for you, like now, it does make it a lot nicer. That was nice, that, and then it shifts up. That automatic gear shifter doesn't need power to work. It works without power. Okay, I don't know if it's changed, I can't tell. But it feels the same, and I'm going 8.8. Oh, there we go, I felt that. Now it feels harder. And is it going to drop me down again? But I'm going a decent-ish speed up this hill. I don't really feel like I'm doing much work. It's an odd feeling, it's an odd feeling. Very, very clever. It sounds like a great idea, but in practice, how is it? We'll find out. And in a first for Engwe, they've moved away from the hub motor, because obviously that 3-speed shifter's there, and they've got the Bafang M200 250 watt mid-drive motor. And that's not the only cool thing about this bike. You just look at it, it's such a nice looking bike. Not sure about the orange, that's a bit garish, but luckily it does come without the orange. My wife likes the orange, not a big fan myself. That's where the battery is. Sticking a key in this flap here allows you to easily remove the battery. Now, you don't need the key to run the bike. I would suggest that you always need a key to run the bike, but this doesn't. Luckily, this battery is easily removed. When you drop the battery in, make sure you give it a good plonk. Otherwise, when you put the key in, the lock might not come through. But it does when you drop it in with some force. It's such a good looking frame. There's no wells. It's like it's been created out of liquid metal, like the T1000. It's got this rear rack here, 25 kilogram max weight. It's got the front lights here. Sadly, no rear lights. It's got this clip-on rear light, which actually is part of the Cell Royale saddle. And this is the biggest mystery of the bike, but it is made by Cell Royale. But look at that. That pops out. Here we go. Push that in instead. Oh, hang on, it is in. It is in, I just didn't hear it click.
Now, before we really find out if the bike is any good, let's see how it came and what was in the box.
In the box is the manual and some zip ties, a rear light, 3 amp charger, tools, pedals, mudguards, and a saddle that I already put on because I forgot to do this. Almost forgot, the best bell in the world. You know, it does feel good, this. This is the furthest I've gone without deciding to turn the power on because I got too tired. So if I speed up, So if I spit, there we go, it shifts up. Is it going to do it again? Oh, and again, and again. And still, I haven't used any power. This is an interesting feeling. It is a total legal configuration. There is no throttle, and as far as I know, you can't get a throttle for it. It's 250 watts, and I haven't found a way to unlock the speed. Usually you just go into the computer settings and increase the maximum assist speed. In this you cannot. I've emailed them, but I'm pretty sure you can't. So if you want a totally legal e-bike, then this might be the e-bike for you. It does have a big battery, 19.2 amp hours. It's a 36 volter, so that's just under 700 watt hours, which isn't huge, but the bike has a torque sensor, which means it doesn't just give you all its power willy-nilly. It kind of knows how fast you're pedaling. Obviously it puts it into the right gear as well to make sure we're always doing our bit to help out, and it gives you a power accordingly, so it lasts a long time. The computer is very nice, it's very clear, it does what you need it to do, and it's on the right. The way it wraps around the handlebar is very interesting, but it's all there ready for you to look at when you need it. It's got hydraulic brakes. The discs are fairly large discs, 180 millimeters, made by Tektro. So let's check out the braking distance. This tree, 18 miles an hour. I mean, that's not bad, that's good.
As you've already seen, the rear light is a clip-on light. It isn't the brightest light, but it's good enough to let the cars see you at night. However, it's a shame it isn't a wired-in light, because you will have to change the batteries from time to time. The front lights are a different story. The dual LED headlights are wired in, and they are excellent. Of course, you can never have enough light, and in this video, I've been wearing the Nito e-bike helmet, which is tougher than normal bike helmets, and also has front and rear lights. If you want to see more of that helmet, then check out the last video about e-bike gadgets.
Something we like to do here at the e-VRC is compare all the e-bikes directly going up the hill, the same hill, Sandy Lane. And as you'll see now, comparing this bike with the other bikes up Sandy Lane isn't quite as simple as it should be. Weird thing about this, because of the gears, the automatic gears, you can't like spin the pedals round like that. You can't like fling it back up. Usually, everyone knows we'd go whoop. We don't come up, you gotta pull it up. 65 newton meters torque, no throttle, so I do need to keep pedaling, but because it's a torque sensor, if I'm pedaling slow it won't give me all the power, so it's not really going to be a fair test. But let's go, 3, 2, 1, go. So I'm going slow, I can feel it pull, so that's good. Now the good thing about a mid-drive motor, which this is that it will use the gears to increase its torque. So let's say I had a throttle now and a mid-drive motor, I would put it into first and the motor would push around the back wheel like I am. It's like it replaces my legs, and because it's in first gear it would find it easier. So you can get kind of lower power mid-drive motors with more torque, but because it's also got a torque sensor, because I'm not pedaling very hard, it's not giving it much power, so it could potentially go up this a lot faster, which means this bike can't generate a time for Sandy Lane, but I can show you how easy it is for me to go up this hill. And at the moment I'm going slow, but I haven't really tried. So if I try and speed up, what happens? It's just shifted up for me, which makes things a bit harder. However, I'm still in boost mode. I'm still under 15.5 miles an hour. I don't feel like it's zipping me up there really fast, but I am getting up here a lot easier than I would on a normal bike. Sadly, with this, the second it gets a bit of speed, it does push it into gear 2, and as soon as you're in gear 2, the torque isn't as good, so it is harder for it to push itself up the hill. Now in practice, that's not a problem because you're just riding around normally. If you get to a hill, you don't think, oh, I'm on the e-VRC, I need to do it throttle only. You'll just go pedaling. And when you pedal, as you saw, it does take you up the hill really easily. So sadly, we can't compare it directly, but I will tell you, it does actually go up hills quite well, especially for a 250 watt bike. Now top speed, that's an interesting thing about this. because it feels like it should be able to go fast. So let's see how fast we could go when we were trying to pedal. So already it's not going to be giving me any power. So this is all me. It just feels weird. Going about 22, 23, 24. Hold it, please. And I don't have to worry about them because this bike's totally legal. So that, waving at the police. Friends we are. All the way up to 15, it feels so good, but as soon as you get over 15, the motor cuts out, and then it's just you on a bike. You are just riding a bike that has this automatic gear, but you've got this mid-drive motor that seems to be pulling you back, and it's not a light bike as well, 32.5 kilograms, I believe, which is decently heavy. Only exercise of the day. You wouldn't want to have to be lugging this up and down the stairs all the time. It's heavier than it looks, especially with that big battery.
Back to that big battery again, and yes, that manufacturer's range of 260 kilometers in assist level 1 is huge. In practice, going mainly on pedal assist 5, I was getting about 11 miles per 10% battery, which is pretty darn good. The stingy torque sensor really does make you do the work though to increase the range, and of course the faster you pedal, the further you'll go because the power totally cuts out after 15.5 miles per hour.
The annoying thing is, I just told my neighbour that I wasn't going to do any exercise. Well, it's not that much exercise, it does most of the work. But because this bike is more than capable of going over 15.5 miles an hour, at the speeds I'm riding, I'm never getting any power anyway. I'm going 19 miles an hour now. There's no power, it's just me. No wonder the bike lasts such a long time. So I'm doing all the bloody work. See, at this point, I'd probably want to shift down to make it easier for me. But this bike, it's like my own personal trainer saying, no, sorry, keep going. I don't trust you. You need to be accountable. My head's sweating.
The 27.5 inch by 2.4 inch tyres do cut a nice middle ground between the skinny tyres of a bike such as the Haybike EC1 and your rain sapping but very comfortable fat tyres. Of course, part of the reason the bike looks so clean is because it has no front or rear suspension, so I'm happy they went with 2.4 inch thick tyres as they're still very capable on the gravel, but they're not so thick that they cause a lot of drag when riding, especially when the power cuts out.
As well as the rack, you get some nice metal mud guards. The bell, this is the nicest bell you can get for an e-bike. Ah, beautiful. Something cool about this bike is the saddle that you can adjust on the fly, so I want to be, it's like an office chair on a proper speed mode now.
So the bike has a lot of cool features, great range and feels high quality and oh so smooth with that lovely belt drive. And yet, still I wouldn't say I was really enjoying my time with the P275 Pro in the same way I love riding some of Engwe's other bikes like the M200, now improved with a rear rack, the brilliant cargo bike the L20 or the great all-rounder the E26. And it was all to do with that seemingly all-star combination of mid-drive motor, automatic transmission and torque sensor.
I'm not sure an automatic makes that much sense on an e-bike. It's not like when you're in a car and you just want it to be easy, put your foot down and go. When you've got to do the pedaling, sometimes you want to choose yourself how hard you want to be pedaling and not have to listen to the personal trainer e-bike. There's a couple of things holding this bike back because it's one of the cleverest bikes I've ever ridden, and everyone loves mid-drive. You've got to love mid-drive, but I was looking forward to receiving this because it was a mid-drive and I wanted to test it out on Sandy Lane, you know, start on gear 1 as I pick up speed, shift and so on, but I've lost that choice and it made it impossible to go up Sandy Lane. I feel like a mid-drive motor works really well with gears, with your choice, and it's taken that away because 250 watts isn't a lot of power, yet on a mid-drive it is a decent amount of power. But that lack of choice just makes things feel difficult. Now the other thing is the speed limiter. The speed limit seems to be hardwired into the bike, but because this cuts out at 15, after 15 it feels like a slog again. But I feel like with that mid-drive, again, even though it's only 250 watts, you could be, as soon as you get over 15, it'll be in the top gear and it'll still be helping you along. And I reckon without a speed limiter I could be easily getting 30 on this bike. But they've taken the choice away again. And people might say, yeah, but illegal e-bike, they're only meant to go 15.5, but that's not true, is it? They're only meant to assist up to 15.5. And if the bike itself is mechanically a fast bike, you can easily get up to 30. For example, the Ebikes EC1, I've reviewed that, take a look at it. It's a brilliant bike. It's a fairly standard e-bike, and yes, it cuts out after 15.5 miles an hour, but there's no weird stuff going on, no weird automatic gearbox. And I think if you're a commuter and you just wanted a nice, easy, efficient commute, then I'd probably want to choose that bike over this bike, and it's cheaper. So who is this bike for? Because the bike has got some good stuff. Like, I love the cool saddle. The saddle that acts like an office chair that you can just adjust on the fly. It's got really good brakes, high quality. The frame of the bike is gorgeous. The tyres are nice. They've got that strip that shines in the light. They're a good size. Because there's no suspension on this bike, but it doesn't feel too rough. That is one thing about the Ebike. It did feel a bit more bumpy compared to this one, because it's got thinner tyres. If you want to go really, really, really far, then because this bike forces you to do a bit of work, then go for this one. If you're happy to do a bit of work, go for this one. And for 1,900 plus discounts, I wouldn't say it isn't worth it, but it's a lot of money to pay if it's going to annoy you. But if it does everything you want it to do, then it's a great price. If you are happy going up to around 15-16 miles an hour, then this is a fantastic bike. It feels great when you pull off, even though it's got no throttle at the lights. It just kicks in, it gets you going, it drops you down to that low gear and it kicks in. But if you want to go commuting quite quickly, when you get past the cutoff, when the motor cuts off, it kind of feels like you're cycling in mud. It feels like it's dragging you back somehow, but you're not going super slow. You can easily cruise around 20, but some people like to cruise around 30, and there are other bikes that can cruise faster. So I like the fact that you can just get it going and it works. There's no maintenance, no having to adjust it or anything like that. It just works. That's great. But I still would prefer to be able to choose what gear I'm in. So if they could do that, but like have it semi-automatic, like when you got flappy paddles in the car, that would be so cool. If they could do that and I could control what gear I'm in up here, I would love that. And then you could get the option. Do I want to be fully automatic? Do I want to be semi-automatic? That'd be brilliant. But it's not. It's only fully automatic, and it doesn't quite know how I want to ride the bike. That's my main issue with it. I mean, the way I'd sum this bike up is by using the special effects analogy. The best special effects are the ones that you don't notice. So I might say, what's got better special effects? Lord of the Rings or Bridgerton? Everyone would say, well, Lord of the Rings, because Bridgerton doesn't have any special effects. Well, actually it does have lots of special effects, because no one went back in time and went to an alternate reality to film all those shots, those panoramic views of Regency alternate England. But most people would see those shots and they wouldn't think, oh wow, that's a good special effect. They'll just be like, oh, that's lovely. Yes, Lord of the Rings has got some amazing special effects, but there is this bit, and that's what this bike's like. It's really cool, just like Lord of the Rings, but you don't half notice that it's trying to be cool. So that was the Engwe P275 Pro, a very, very cool bike, a very, very high quality bike, a very, very clever bike, but lacking somewhat in the magic that makes riding exciting. However, if you're thinking, you know what, I've heard a lot of good things about that bike, you said a lot of good things about that bike, no matter what you say, I like the idea of that bike. If you want to purchase it, there is a link down below. It will be an affiliate link. So if you do use my link, if this review's helped you make your mind up, then it will help the channel if you use my link. Thanks for getting this far into the video. I think I've just become a disembodied head right now. I really appreciate you staying to the end. If you enjoyed the review, thumbs up. If you hate the review, or even if you disagree with the review, thumbs down. And until next time, ride safe.